"You'll scream like the others," she said, but the human didn't even flinch. The galactic trade complex buzzed with activity as beings from dozens of worlds conducted business beneath its crystalline dome. Commander Zara Caney of the Altarian Defense Corps strode through the corridors with purpose, her blue-tinted skin catching the artificial light. Her silver hair was pulled back in a severe military bun, and her golden eyes held the confidence of someone who had never met a challenge she couldn't overcome. Negotiations with the Terrans had been grueling. These humans seemed impossibly stubborn, countering every reasonable Altarian proposal with what they called diplomatic considerations. As a warrior species from a high-gravity world, Altarians prided themselves on their physical superiority. Zara herself could lift 3 times her body weight and had never lost a combat trial. Seeking to burn off frustration before the next round of talks, she wandered into the commercial district. A rhythmic clanging drew her attention to a facility marked Iron Paradise, Traditional Earth Fitness. Through the transparent walls, she observed various species attempting to use primitive exercise equipment. In the corner, a lone human male methodically lifted metal weights. He was shirtless, revealing a powerfully built torso that glistened with perspiration. His dark hair was military short, and a confident smile played on his lips as he completed another repetition. What struck Zara most was his choice to use such antiquated methods when modern muscle stimulation chambers were available. Curiosity overcoming protocol, she entered the facility. The human noticed her immediately. Her distinctive appearance made stealth impossible, but continued his workout without pause. "What exactly are you doing with all that primitive metal?" Zara asked loudly, making no effort to hide her amusement. "Don't your people have proper enhancement technology?" The human set down his weights and turned to face her fully. His eyes were a startling green, like the forests of her homeworld, and they assessed her with calm intelligence. "Sometimes the old ways work best," he replied, his voice deeper than she'd expected. "I'm Captain Marcus Stone, Earth Defense Force." He extended his hand in the human greeting custom. "Commander Zara Caney, Altarian Elite Guard," she responded, ignoring his outstretched hand. "Your methods seem inefficient and primitive." Marcus shrugged, seemingly unbothered by her dismissal. "Maybe, but they work for me." He patted his midsection, which Zara had to admit was impressively defined. "These didn't come from a machine." Zara rolled her eyes. "Please, Altarian children have stronger cores than adult humans. Your species is physically inferior. It's simple biology." Instead of taking offense, Marcus's smile widened into something almost challenging. "Want to test that theory?" "What do you mean?" "Punch me in the stomach," he said calmly, his expression unchanged. "If we're so inferior, it should be easy for you." Zara blinked, certain she'd misheard. "You want me to hit you?" "That's right. If Altarians are as superior as you claim, it shouldn't be a problem." He stood with his arms slightly away from his body, presenting his midsection as a target. "I won't file any complaints." Zara hesitated, then shrugged. If the human wanted a demonstration of Altarian strength, who was she to deny him? Besides, she was still irritated from the negotiations. "Your funeral," she muttered, setting her stance and drawing back her fist. She didn't use her full strength. She wasn't cruel, but she put enough force behind the punch to make her point. Her fist connected with his abdomen with a solid impact, and then pain exploded through her hand. Zara screamed, cradling her injured hand against her chest. It felt like she'd punched a bulkhead. Tears of pain sprang to her eyes as shock and disbelief washed over her face. "How did you—" she gasped. Marcus hadn't even flinched. If anything, his smile had grown more pronounced. "Like I said, sometimes the old ways work best." The medical bay's soft blue lighting cast an otherworldly glow as Dr. Thessian, a multi-armed Voltarian physician, carefully examined Zara's injured And with his scanning device, 2 fractured metacarpals, the doctor announced, his secondary eyes blinking in curiosity. Quite unusual for an Altarian. Your species typically has much denser bone structure. How did this occur? Training accident? Zara lied smoothly, acutely aware of Marcus's barely concealed amusement from across the room. The regenerative bone stimulator attached to her hand hummed softly as it worked to repair the damage. There, Dr. Thessian said, applying the final bandage. Keep the stimulator on for 72 hours, and avoid any strenuous activity with that hand. Once discharged, Zara found Marcus waiting in the corridor. He'd changed into civilian clothes that did little to hide his impressive physique. "The cosmic drift in an hour?" he suggested, naming one of the station's upscale lounges. "I owe you a drink for being such a good sport." "You owe me more than a drink," Zara retorted, though there was no real anger in her voice. Her scientific curiosity was overriding her bruised pride. "Fine. 1 hour. The cosmic drift was designed to mimic the view from a starship at warp speed, its walls displaying swirling colors of simulated hyperspace. Marcus was already seated when she arrived, having somehow managed to order her species' traditional fire wine without mispronouncing its name. "Impressive," she admitted, taking a sip of the familiar burning liquid. "Most non-Altarians can't even pronounce this correctly, let alone order it." "I make it a point to learn about cultures that intrigue me," Marcus replied, his eyes meeting hers with an intensity that made her pulse quicken, "especially when they fascinate me." As they talked, moving from diplomatic small talk to more personal subjects, Zara found herself genuinely enjoying his company. Marcus was intelligent, well-traveled, and possessed a dry sense of humor that caught her off guard. "So what really brings a Defense Force captain to trade negotiations?" she asked after their second round. "Seems below your usual duties." Marcus's expression shifted subtly. "I could ask you the same, Commander. Elite Guard. Members don't typically handle mining rights." They stared at each other across the table, both recognizing the unspoken truth that neither was being entirely honest about their presence. "Let's just say I'm here to protect Altarian interests," Zara offered carefully. "And I'm here to protect Earth's," Marcus countered. A moment of tense silence passed, then they both laughed, breaking the tension. "We're both terrible at this spy thing," Marcus said, shaking his head. "Speak for yourself," Zara replied with a smirk. "I'm an excellent liar." Their conversation was interrupted when Marcus's communicator buzzed. He checked it discreetly, his expression turning serious. "I need to go," he said, standing abruptly. "Duty calls." "Problem?" Zara asked, her intelligence training automatically kicking in. Marcus hesitated, then seemed to make a decision. "There's been unusual activity in the lower sectors. Smuggling, operation, possibly weapons, the same sector your people are interested in for mining rights." Zara's eyes widened. This aligned with intelligence reports she'd received about criminal activity in the region. "The Shadow Cartel?" she said without thinking. Marcus's gaze sharpened. "You know about them?" "They've hit 3 Altarian outposts in the past year," she admitted. "We've been tracking them too." A moment of professional understanding passed between them, temporarily overriding their respective orders, and the growing personal attraction neither could deny. "Want to help?" Marcus asked, extending his hand once again. This time, Zara took it. The maintenance tunnels beneath the station were a maze of shadows and humming machinery. Marcus moved with surprising stealth for someone of his size, periodically checking a handheld scanner as they navigated deeper into the station's underbelly. "The smugglers use these passages to move contraband," he explained in a whisper. "My intel suggests they have a staging area in Sector 7. Zara nodded, impressed despite herself by his tactical awareness. Her injured hand throbbed beneath its medical wrapping, a constant reminder of her underestimation of human capabilities. She found herself studying Marcus's movements, the efficient economy of each step, the alertness in his posture. "Your military training shows," she murmured. "Not bad for a supposedly inferior species." Marcus glanced back with that infuriating half-smile. "I'll take that as a compliment from an Altarian elite guard." They reached a junction where the tunnel split into 3 directions. Marcus consulted his scanner, frowning. Signals bouncing. Could be interference, or they're using scramblers. Zara activated her own detection equipment. Nothing on thermal either. "Your smugglers are skilled at covering their tracks." A sudden clang echoed from the left passage, followed by muffled voices. Marcus reacted instantly, grasping Zara's uninjured hand and pulling her toward a maintenance alcove barely large enough for one person. "In here," he whispered, sliding open the panel and drawing her inside. The space was cramped, forcing them into immediate physical contact. Zara found herself pressed against Marcus's chest, their bodies aligned from shoulder to knee. The panel, sealed with a soft hiss, plunging them into near darkness save for a thin strip of emergency lighting. "Was this really necessary?" Zara whispered, acutely aware of every point of contact between them. Marcus radiated warmth, and she could feel the steady rhythm of his heartbeat against her palm where it rested on his chest. "Would you prefer to explain to armed smugglers why we're in their territory?" Marcus replied, his breath warm against her ear. Outside, the voices grew louder. 2 males discussing shipment schedules in a dialect Zara recognized as Centauran. Marcus tensed, listening intently. His arm tightened around her waist as he shifted for a better angle to hear, bringing their faces mere inches apart. In the dim blue glow of the emergency lighting, Zara could make out the strong line of his jaw, the intensity in his eyes as they adjusted to the darkness. This close, she detected the subtle scent of him, clean perspiration, some kind of earth spice, and something uniquely human that was surprisingly appealing. "They're discussing a major operation," Marcus whispered so softly she felt rather than heard the words. "Something big scheduled for tomorrow night." The voices faded as the smugglers moved on, but neither made any move to leave their hiding place. In the silence, the tension between them seemed to thicken, becoming almost tangible. "We should go," Zara said, but made no attempt to move. "Probably," Marcus agreed, his eyes dropping to her lips. Later, Zara wouldn't be able to say who moved. First, perhaps they both did. One moment they were staring at each other in the dim light, and the next his mouth was on hers, urgent and demanding. She responded with equal intensity, her good hand sliding up to grip the back of his neck. Altarian mating customs were typically formal, controlled affairs, nothing like this raw, primal connection. Marcus kissed with the same confident precision he brought to everything else, and the effect was intoxicating. When they finally broke apart, both breathing heavily, Zara felt disoriented. This wasn't part of her mission. This wasn't what she was supposed to be doing. That was, she began. "Unexpected," Marcus suggested, his voice rougher than before. "I was going to say not terrible for a human," Zara replied, attempting to regain her equilibrium through humor. Marcus chuckled, the sound vibrating through his chest. "High praise indeed." Marcus's quarters in the diplomatic wing were spartanly furnished but comfortable. As the door sealed behind them, the professional facades they'd maintained in public dissolved completely. Their lips met again, with an urgency, born of danger and desire. "Your superiors would court-martial you for this," Zara murmured against his mouth, her uninjured hand already working at the fastenings of his uniform. "Probably," Marcus agreed, his fingers tangling in her silver hair. Worth it, though. What followed challenged every assumption Zara had about human physiology and compatibility. Marcus was attentive, skilled, and surprisingly tender, a stark contrast to the formal mating rituals of her own species. His slightly cooler body temperature felt refreshing against her naturally warmer skin, and she discovered that the differences between their anatomies created unexpected pleasures. In the aftermath, they lay intertwined, her silver hair spread across his chest like liquid starlight. That was... Zara searched for words. Revolutionary, Marcus suggested with a grin. She laughed, a genuine sound of delight. I may need to revise my assessment of human capabilities. Happy to provide more data, he replied, tracing patterns on her shoulder, though this probably violates about a dozen protocols on both sides. Before Zara could respond, the room's emergency lighting flashed red, and a piercing alarm sounded. Both snapped to full alertness, military training overriding everything else. Proximity alert, Marcus said, already reaching for his uniform. Someone's trying to... The explosion tore through the outer door, sending them both flying. Marcus hit the wall with a grunt, while Zara rolled into a defensive crouch. Through the smoke came 4 figures in black tactical gear, their faces obscured by combat masks. "Shadow Cartel!" Zara shouted, diving for her weapon belt. Marcus was faster, rolling to his feet and charging the first intruder before they could aim. His fist connected with devastating force, dropping the attacker instantly. The second operative fired, the energy bolt missing Marcus by inches. Zara, having retrieved her sidearm, returned fire with precision. The combat was brief but intense, a deadly dance of energy weapons and hand-to-hand combat. When the last attacker fell, both stood breathing heavily among the wreckage. That wasn't random, Zara said, checking Marcus for injuries. They knew exactly where to find you. Marcus nodded grimly. Which means we have a leak, someone who knows about our investigation. Zara's communicator chimed with an incoming message from General Corvus, her commanding officer. The holographic projection showed his stern features as he delivered new orders. Commander, return to the Altarian embassy immediately. We have concerns about your associations. The timing was too convenient. Zara met Marcus's gaze, seeing her own suspicions. Reflected there. I can't go back, she said after the transmission ended. Not yet. Then we disappear, Marcus decided, pulling a hidden panel from the wall to reveal emergency supplies. Until we figure out who we can trust. As station security alarms blared in the distance, they gathered essential equipment. Zara's mind raced. With implications, her mission, her career, possibly her life hung in the balance. Yet looking at Marcus as he efficiently prepared for their escape, she couldn't bring herself to regret her choices. Together then, she asked, accepting the weapon he handed her. His eyes met hers, serious but warm. Together. As they slipped into the service corridors, Zara realized she had crossed a line from which there was no return. Whatever happened next would change everything, not just for them, but potentially for both their species. The attraction that had begun with a broken hand and a bruised ego had evolved into something that could reshape the political landscape of the galaxy. But first, they had to survive long enough to expose the conspiracy that threatened to destroy any chance of peace between their worlds. 3 months later, the newly established Terran-Altarian Cultural Exchange Center gleamed in the afternoon light of New Geneva, Earth's diplomatic capital. The building's architecture blended human engineering with Altarian artistic sensibilities, creating something entirely unique, much like the relationship it housed. Zara stood on the center's observation deck, watching as delegations from both species worked together on joint projects below. Her hand, fully healed now, rested on her slightly rounded abdomen. The pregnancy had been as unexpected as everything else about her relationship with Marcus, but genetic compatibility tests had confirmed what seemed impossible. Their child would be healthy and viable. Still can't believe it worked out, Marcus said, joining her at the railing. He wore the uniform of the new interspecies diplomatic corps, while she sported the similar but distinctly Altarian version. The conspiracy being exposed, or us not being executed for treason? Zara asked with a smile. Both, he admitted, wrapping his arms around her from behind, though I was thinking more about the little one. Their investigation had ultimately revealed corruption at the highest levels of both governments. General Corvus and Admiral Harrison had been secretly collaborating with the Shadow Cartel to create incidents that would justify military action. The evidence Zara and Marcus gathered had not only prevented a war, but led to sweeping reforms in both the Altarian Defense Corps and Earth Defense Force. Dr. Chen says everything is progressing normally, Zara reported, leaning back against Marcus's chest. Though normal is a relative term for the first recorded human-Altarian hybrid. She'll be perfect, Marcus said with confidence, his hands gently cradling her stomach. She's got your intelligence and my stubborn streak. And hopefully your impossible abdominal muscles, Zara added with a laugh. I'm never living down breaking my hand on them. Never, Marcus agreed cheerfully. It's going in the history books. First contact, how Commander Zara Kaney's poor punching technique changed galactic politics. Their peaceful moment was interrupted by Dr. Chen's voice over the building's communication system. Commander Kaney, Captain Stone, please report to the medical bay. We're detecting some unusual readings. They exchanged glances and hurried to the medical facility. Dr. Chen, a brilliant xenobiologist who had become their primary physician, met them with an expression of wonder. Is everything all right? Zara asked, automatically moving to the examination table. More than all right, Dr. Chen replied, running her scanner over Zara's abdomen. Your daughter appears to be developing abilities from both species. Enhanced strength from her human heritage, increased neural processing from her Altarian genetics. She's going to be remarkable. Marcus squeezed Zara's hand. Our little overachiever. The scans also show she's responding to both parents' voices, Dr. Chen continued. Her development is accelerated but stable. I estimate she'll arrive in about 6 weeks. As they left the medical bay, Zara felt a familiar flutter of movement from within. Their daughter was active, as if she knew she was being discussed. Any regrets? Marcus asked softly as they walked back toward their shared office. About punching you in that gym, Zara pretended to consider. Well, breaking my hand was unpleasant, and you are insufferably smug about your physical conditioning. I have reason to be proud, Marcus protested with mock seriousness. But, Zara continued, stopping to face him fully, considering everything that followed, exposing the conspiracy, preventing a war, finding love with the most stubborn human in the galaxy, and creating new life, I think things worked out rather well. Marcus leaned down to kiss her, no longer caring about diplomatic protocol or curious onlookers. When they parted, his expression was serious, despite his smile. I love you, Commander Zara Kaney. And I love you, Captain Marcus Stone, she replied, her free hand finding his, broken hand and all. As their daughter kicked again, as if in agreement, Zara couldn't help but marvel at how far they'd come. From a moment of pride and prejudice in a gym to creating a new future for both their species. All because she'd underestimated the strength of a human's will and his remarkably hard abs.